The Glorious History of the Pandya Empire. Section 1. Introduction. The Pandya Empire stands as one of the oldest and most revered dynasties in the annals of Indian history, particularly within the cultural and political tapestry of South India. Flourishing over several centuries, the Pandyas played a pivotal role in shaping Tamil civilization, literature, architecture, and trade. Alongside the Cholas and Cheras, they formed the triumvirate of ancient Tamil kingdoms that dominated the landscape of the Tamilakam region. What distinguishes the Pandyas is not only the antiquity of their lineage, traced back to the Sangam age, circa 3rd century BCE to 3rd century CE, but also their resilience and ability to revive power multiple times in Indian history. From early classical references in Greco-Roman accounts and Ashokan inscriptions to the grandeur of Jatavarman Sundara Pandya's imperial expansion, the Pandya Empire showcases a trajectory of continuous political, cultural, and maritime relevance. Their capital, Madurai, was not merely a political hub, but also a flourishing center of Tamil literature, religious scholarship, and trade. The Pandyas were deeply devoted to Shaivism, though they maintained religious tolerance and patronized Vaishnavism, Jainism, and Buddhism at various points in history. Their reign witnessed a harmonious blend of faith and statecraft, wherein temples served as both spiritual centers and instruments of administration and economy. The legacy of the Pandya Empire extends beyond their monumental temples and military triumphs. They were pioneers in maritime trade, establishing economic relations with Rome, China, Sri Lanka, and Southeast Asia, thereby positioning Tamilakam as a vital link in the ancient global trade network. This comprehensive chronicle explores the glorious history of the Pandya Empire in its full chronological, political, and cultural depth. Through detailed analysis of inscriptions, literary sources, foreign accounts, and archaeological findings, this work aims to illuminate the enduring legacy of a civilization that carried the pride of the Tamil land across seas and centuries. Section 2. Origins and Early Pandyas. The origins of the Pandya dynasty are deeply rooted in the mythical, literary, and historical traditions of Tamil culture. They are among the earliest known ruling dynasties of the Indian subcontinent, with their name appearing in ancient Sanskrit texts, Tamil Sangam literature, and foreign travelogues. Revered as one of the Moovandar, three-crowned kings of Tamilakam, the Pandyas shared prominence with their contemporaries, the Cholas and the Cheras. Mythical and literary origins. The earliest references to the Pandyas are intertwined with Hindu mythology. According to legend, the first Pandya king was Kulasekara Pandya, believed to be a descendant of the Moon dynasty, Chandravamsa. Another legend claims the dynasty was founded by Meenakshi, the goddess of Madurai, and her consort Sundaraswara, Shiva, indicating the divine origin of Pandya kingship. These myths are symbolic of the sacred association between kingship and divinity that permeated the Pandya ideology. Tamil Sangam literature, particularly the works of Agastya, Avayar, and others, refers to early Pandya rulers with admiration, praising their patronage of poets and their heroic exploits. The Sangam anthologies like Purananuru, Akananuru, and Pathitrupathu mention various Pandya rulers by name, emphasizing their military conquests, generosity, and cultural patronage. Archaeological and epigraphic evidence. The Ashokan edicts, 3rd century BCE, provide some of the earliest historical records that refer to the Pandya kingdom, alongside the Chola and Chera territories. Ashoka's mention of the Pandyas as part of independent southern kingdoms not under Mauryan control is significant. It demonstrates the Pandya kingdom's existence as a politically autonomous entity, even during the height of Mauryan power. Other epigraphic sources include the Hathigampa inscription of Caravella, which mentions a southern campaign involving Tamil kingdoms. The Greek and Roman writers, notably Ptolemy, Pliny the Elder, and Megasthenes, also wrote about the trade routes leading to Pandya ports like Korkai, highlighting their importance in international commerce. Capital and territory. The original capital of the early Pandyas was Korkai, located near the mouth of the Tamirapurani River in present-day Tuticorin district, Tamil Nadu. Korkai was an important port city known for its pearl fisheries, attracting merchants from as far as Rome and the Middle East. Later, the capital was moved to Madurai, which emerged as a cultural and political nerve center of Tamil civilization. Madurai remained the seat of Pandya power for centuries and was revered as a center of Tamil language, poetry, learning, and Shaiva worship. The territory of the early Pandyas likely extended from southern Tamil Nadu to parts of Kerala, with frequent campaigns aimed at subduing rivals and expanding into central Tamil regions. Sangam, Age, Pandya Kings. The following are some prominent kings from the Sangam age associated with the Pandya lineage. Nedunjeliani, celebrated in Sangam poetry for defeating the Cheras and Cholas in the Battle of Talayalanganam. Maran Vaziambalan, known for his generosity and patronage of Sangam poets. Palyagasalai Mudukudumi Peruvajuthi, famous for performing multiple yagnas, Vedic sacrifices, and for extending Pandya influence in the spiritual domain. These kings were not only warriors but also patrons of art and religion, laying the cultural foundation of the empire. Religion and patronage. The early Pandyas were primarily Shaivites, though there is ample evidence of their religious pluralism. Jainism and Buddhism were also practiced and supported in Pandya lands. Ancient cave inscriptions and sculptures in Madurai, Alagarmalai, and Tirunelveli regions point to early Jain and Buddhist presence. Temples and monasteries were supported with land grants, and poets and scholars were generously rewarded, ensuring a synergy between state, spirituality, and scholarship. The early period of the Pandya dynasty set the tone for what would later become one of the most culturally and economically vibrant empires in South India. Section 3. Sangam Age and Literature. The Sangam Age, circa 300 BCE, 300 CE, is regarded as a golden era in Tamil literature, and the Pandyas played a crucial role in its emergence and sustenance. This period derives its name from the Tamil Sangams, assemblies of poets and scholars, reportedly held in ancient Madurai under the patronage of the Pandya kings. The Pandya dynasty, through its active encouragement of literary activities, positioned Madurai as the intellectual and poetic capital of ancient Tamilakam. The concept of Sangam. According to Tamil legends, there were 3 Sangams, academies, that took place over thousands of years. The first Sangam was said to have been held in a submerged land, possibly Lemuria or Kumari Kandam. The second Sangam occurred in Kapadapuram. The third Sangam, the most historically grounded, was convened in Madurai under Pandya rulers. Though the first 2 Sangams are largely mythical, the third is supported by literary and inscriptional evidence. Literary works of the Sangam age. Sangam literature is divided into Etuthogai, 8 anthologies, and Patupatu, 10 idylls, alongside works such as Tolkappiyam, the oldest extant Tamil grammar text. These works are characterized by poetic beauty, emotional depth, and sophisticated social and political insights. The themes can be broadly classified as Akam, interior, dealing with love, emotion, and personal experience. Puram, exterior, focused on heroism, war, kingship, charity, and ethics. Key Sangam works. Purananuru contains vivid accounts of Pandya kings, their wars, and generous patronage. Akananuru, Kuruntokai, and Ankurunuru explore themes of love and relationships, offering glimpses of Tamil culture. Pathitrapathu features 10 cantos, many of which are dedicated to Pandya rulers. Tolkappiyam, a foundational text on Tamil grammar and poetics, believed to have been written under the early Pandya patronage. Poets and patronage. The Pandya kings honored many renowned poets, including Avayar, a revered female poet known for her wisdom and simplicity. Kapilar, Nakirar, Urayur Mudukanan Sadanar, influential poets who praised and critiqued kings with boldness. Paranar chronicled the military victories of Pandya rulers. The poets often served as diplomats, counselors, and historians, with the royal courts functioning as literary salons. Madurai as a literary capital. Under the Pandyas, Madurai became synonymous with Tamil literary excellence. The king's court encouraged open critique and discussion, offering patronage to both lauded and dissenting voices. This intellectual openness fostered an unparalleled literary tradition. cultural and social insights Sangam literature provides. Deep insights into Tamil society, including caste, trade, agriculture, urban life, and rituals. Descriptions of democratic assemblies, martial codes, and courtly traditions. Glimpses into the lives of women, often portrayed as intellectually and emotionally powerful. Religious themes in literature. Though predominantly secular, Sangam literature also hints at the early forms of Shaivism, Vaishnavism, Jainism, and nature worship, reflecting the pluralistic religious environment of the Pandya kingdom. The Sangam age, fostered by the Pandya dynasty, represents one of the most intellectually fertile periods in Indian history. It laid the foundation for the rich cultural identity of Tamil Nadu that persists today. Section 4. Medieval Pandyas and Imperial Revival. Following the decline of the Sangam age and a period of obscurity marked by political fragmentation, the Pandya dynasty experienced a remarkable revival in the 6th to 13th centuries CE, known as the medieval Pandya period. This era marked the transformation of the Pandyas from regional rulers to imperial powers, especially during the reigns of kings like Maravarman Sundara Pandya I and Jatavarman Sundara Pandya II. Their imperial resurgence changed the political landscape of South India and left an indelible mark on Tamil history. Post-Sangam decline and early medieval resurgence. 6th–10th century CE. After the Sangam period, the Pandyas witnessed a phase of decline due to the rise of the Calabres, a dynasty that disrupted traditional Tamil rule. However, by the 6th century CE, inscriptions reveal a gradual return of Pandya influence. These early medieval Pandyas began re-establishing control over Madurai and southern Tamilakam, often competing with Pallavas, Cholas, and Cheras for dominance. Important rulers during this phase included Kadungan, 6th century CE, regarded as the reviver of the Pandya dynasty. He expelled the Calabres and reasserted Pandya control. Maravarman Avani Sulamani and Sendan strengthened political authority and consolidated territory. Despite these gains, their power remained limited due to the growing influence of the Pallavas in the north and Cholas in the central Tamil region. Golden Age of the Imperial Pandyas, 11th–14th century CE. The 11th to 14th centuries CE represent the apex of Pandya power, during which they emerged as dominant imperial rulers across Tamil Nadu and even extended their influence into parts of Sri Lanka, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, and Karnataka. Maravarman Sundara Pandya Winter 1216–1238 CE, a transformative figure in Pandya history. Maravarman Sundara Pandya defeated Kulathunga Chola III, signaling the decline of Chola supremacy, expanded Pandya influence across southern Tamil Nadu, and re-established Madurai as a powerful capital, promoted temple construction and urban development. Yatavarman Sundara Pandya and perhaps the greatest of the medieval Pandya emperors, Jatavarman Sundara Pandya I, led the empire to its peak, defeated the Cholas, Hoysalas, and Kakatiyas, asserting Pandya supremacy, invaded Sri Lanka and conquered large parts of Ceylon, establishing tribute arrangements, subjugated the Kadava chieftains and defeated the Kakatiyas of Warangal, sent missions to Southeast Asia, furthering maritime and diplomatic ties. He was also a great patron of religion and art, building and renovating numerous temples, including significant expansions to the Sri Rangam Ranganatha Temple and Chidambaram Temple. Administrative reforms and governance. The imperial Pandyas established a strong bureaucratic system. The kingdom was divided into mandalams, provinces, nadus, districts, and kurams, villages. Local governance through sabas and UR councils ensured administrative efficiency and people's participation. Temples functioned as economic and social institutions, managing land, taxes, and education, military and naval strength. The imperial Pandyas maintained a powerful standing army, composed of infantry, cavalry, and war elephants, navy for protecting sea trade and supporting overseas expeditions, especially in the Bay of Bengal and the Indian Ocean. Their military superiority was instrumental in defeating both regional rivals and foreign invaders. Foreign relations and trade. Medieval Pandya rulers maintained trade and diplomatic relations with Southeast Asian kingdoms such as Srivijaya and Majapahit, Arab traders who frequented ports like Kayal and Korkai, European traders including Marco Polo, who visited the Pandya court in the 13th century and admired the prosperity of their land. The ports of Kollam, Kayal, and Nagapattinam became thriving centers of international commerce, dealing in pearls, spices, textiles, and ivory. The medieval Pandya revival re-established the dynasty as a great imperial power in South Indian history. Their administrative sophistication, military strength, religious patronage, and international outlook made this period one of unprecedented prosperity and cultural richness. Section 5. Notable rulers of the Pandya Empire. Throughout its long and illustrious history, the Pandya dynasty produced numerous rulers who left indelible marks on South Indian politics, culture, and religion. These monarchs not only shaped the trajectory of Tamilakam, but also interacted dynamically with neighboring states and foreign powers. Below is a detailed exploration of the most influential Pandya rulers across various eras. 1. Kadungan, 6th century CE. Recognized as the reviver of the Pandya dynasty following the Kalabra interregnum, successfully restored Pandya control in southern Tamil Nadu, particularly around Madurai, known for initiating a political and cultural renaissance, laying the foundation for the medieval Pandya resurgence. 2. Maravarman Avani Sulamani, 7th century CE, strengthened the dynasty by consolidating power and expanding territory, maintained diplomatic and military conflicts with the Pallavas and Chalukyas, promoted temple building and reinforced Hindu orthodoxy during his reign. Vansendan, 8th century CE, known for his literary patronage and efforts in promoting Tamil Brahmi literature, fostered Saivism and contributed to the architectural development of Madurai temples. 4. Maravarman Rajasimhai, 9th century CE. His rule marked a phase of military conflicts with the Rashtrakutas and Pallavas, built fortifications and roads that improved trade and transportation. 5. Maravarman Sundarapanja Udnur Sharidamayan Sadijai Tardar Adwaradagarcia, a pivotal ruler in the imperial revival of the Pandya dynasty, defeated Kulathunga Chola III, significantly weakening the Chola power, reclaimed control over Madurai, asserting Pandya sovereignty over Tamilakam. 6. Defeated the Kakatiyas, Hoysalas, and Kadavas, establishing Pandya supremacy. Oversaw a period of immense prosperity, temple patronage, and expansion of trade networks. His court was renowned for cosmopolitanism, wealth, and cultural vibrancy. 7. Maravarman Kulasikara Pandya Prang, extended the gains made by his predecessor, maintaining Pandya dominance, managed internal strife and succession disputes effectively, encouraged literature, religious devotion, and temple patronage, struggled with emerging threats from Delhi Sultanate incursions in the north. 8. Sundara Pandya IV, CE, faced intense challenges from internal rebellion and external invasions. Reign coincided with Malik Kafur's invasion under the Delhi Sultanate, leading to a weakening of Pandya control, marked the beginning of the decline of Pandya imperial power. 9. Veera Pandya, 14th century CE, engaged in civil war against Sundara Pandya during a turbulent succession conflict. This internal division weakened the dynasty and opened the door to external conquests. Lost significant territory to the Madurai Sultanate, which replaced Pandya rule in parts of Tamil Nadu. 10. Kumara Kampana, Pandya ally from Vijayanagara Empire, not a Pandya king, but crucial in restoring Hindu rule in Madurai by defeating the Madurai Sultanate, represented the growing influence of Vijayanagara Empire, which later absorbed many Pandya territories. Legacy of the Pandya rulers. The notable Pandya kings were architects of cultural and religious flowering, especially in Saivism and Vaishnavism, military strategists and empire builders, with successful campaigns across the Deccan and Sri Lanka, visionary leaders who encouraged international trade, temple economy, and Tamil literature. Each of these rulers contributed to the resilience and adaptability of the Pandya dynasty, ensuring that their legacy survived over millennia. Section 6. Religious contributions and temple architecture. The Pandya dynasty, deeply rooted in the religious and cultural traditions of South India, made extraordinary contributions to the development of Hinduism, temple architecture, and religious literature. Their rule witnessed the construction of some of the most magnificent temples in Tamil Nadu and the flourishing of spiritual movements like Saivism and Vaishnavism. 1. Patronage of Hinduism. The Pandyas were devout followers of Shaivism, though they were also tolerant patrons of Vaishnavism, Jainism, and Buddhism in earlier periods. Shaivism. Most Pandyas were ardent devotees of Lord Shiva, contributing extensively to Shiva temples and Saiva literature. Kings often took titles such as Parama Maheswara, great devotee of Shiva. Vaishnavism. Some Pandyas, especially during the medieval period, supported the Sri Vaishnava movement. The Alvar saints were revered, and temples like Srirangam received royal endowments. Jainism and Buddhism. In early periods, Jain monks and Buddhist scholars were present in the Pandya domain, particularly in Madurai and Korkai, though their influence waned over time. 2. Major temples built or patronized by the Pandyas. The Pandya rulers either built or significantly expanded numerous temples, many of which remain centers of worship and heritage today. A. Meenakshi Temple, Madurai, perhaps the most iconic contribution of the Pandyas to South Indian architecture. The temple was originally built by early Pandyas and later expanded by Nayaks. Dedicated to Meenakshi, Parvati, and Sundareswarar, Shiva, the temple is known for majestic gopurams, gateway towers, the golden lotus tank, intricately carved mandapas, pillared halls. B. Nelayappa Temple, Tirunelveli, a sacred Shaivite shrine supported heavily by the Pandya kings, famous for its musical pillars and Dravidian architectural elegance. C. Srirangam Ranganatha Swami Temple, although primarily a Vaishnavite temple, it received generous donations from Pandya rulers. Jadavarman Sundara Pandya is credited with gilding the Vimana tower with gold. D. Chidambaram Nataraja Temple, another significant temple supported by the Pandyas. Known for its cosmic dance iconography and theological significance in Shaivism. 3. Characteristics of Pandya temple architecture. Pandya temples are key examples of early Dravidian architecture, evolving through centuries. Simple garbhagriha, sanctum sanctorum in early temples. Vimana towers gradually became taller and more ornamented. Mandapas, halls, were used for music, dance, and congregation. Sculptures of deities, dancers, and mythological scenes adorned pillars and walls, use of granite and sandstone with increasing complexity in later periods. These features would inspire later dynasties like the Cholas, Vijayanagara, and Nayaks. 4. Support for Bhakti movement. Pandya rulers patronized Saiva Nayanmars and Vaishnava Alvars, the saints of the Bhakti movement. Facilitated Tamil devotional literature by funding poets, scholars, and temple singers. Allowed religious debates and built mathas, monasteries for Shaivites and Vaishnavites. 5. Temple economy and society. Temples under Pandya rule were not only places of worship but also centers of education, land administration, and banking. Maintained large staffs including priests, artists, cooks, and accountants. Controlled vast tracts of land donated by kings and nobles. Conducted festivals and rituals that supported local artisans, traders, and farmers. Legacy of Pandya religious contributions. The Pandyas played a foundational role in shaping Tamil Nadu's spiritual landscape. Their temples continue to be living places of faith. Their architecture influenced centuries of Dravidian design. Their patronage sustained art, music, dance, and Tamil devotional literature. Section 7. Art, literature, and cultural flourishing under the Pandyas. The Pandya dynasty was not only a political and military power, but also a beacon of cultural brilliance. Under their reign, Tamil art, music, sculpture, and literature reached new heights. Their courts became vibrant centers of creativity and intellectual exchange, fostering an environment where scholars, poets, musicians, and artisans thrived. 1. Revival and growth of Tamil literature. The Pandyas were renowned patrons of Tamil language and literature, continuing the legacy of Sangam traditions and inspiring generations of poets and writers. Sangam influence. While the Sangam period predates the medieval Pandyas, many of the Sangam texts were preserved and recopied under their reign. Medieval Tamil literature. Works like Thirukkural were widely quoted and taught in Pandya institutions. Bhakti literature such as Tevaram by Shaiva Nayanmars and Divya Prabandham by Vaishnava Alvars received official recognition. Court poets. Pandya courts employed eminent scholars like Nakirar and Uttarakumara. Kings often composed poems themselves and participated in literary gatherings. Jain and Buddhist influence, early periods. Early Pandyas patronized Jain monks who contributed to Tamil prose and didactic works. Buddhist texts and educational centers were also supported, especially in Korkai and Madurai. 2. Artistic achievements. The Pandyas left behind a rich legacy of visual and performing arts, emphasizing both religious and secular themes. A. Sculpture and iconography. Temples built or expanded by the Pandyas contain intricate stone carvings depicting Hindu deities like Shiva, Vishnu, Durga, and Ganesha. Scenes from epics like Ramayana and Mahabharata. Stylized dancers, musicians, animals, and celestial beings. Use of granite and laterite materials for detailed sculptural expressions. Popular sculptural forms. Nataraja, Shiva in cosmic dance. Vishnu reclining on Adishesha. Meenakshi Parvati in divine beauty. B. Murals and paintings. Though few original Pandya murals survive today, inscriptions in temple remains suggest. Wall paintings adorned sanctum walls and ceilings. Natural pigments and limestone plaster were used. Themes included mythology, cosmic dance, and royal processions. C. Bronze casting. Though more prominent under the Cholas, the Pandyas also commissioned exquisite bronze idols for processions and rituals. Techniques such as lost wax casting, cire perdue, were utilized. 3. Performing arts, music and dance. A. Music. Temples became hubs of devotional music, particularly in the form of Tevaram hymns. Musical instruments like veena, mridangam, flute, and conch shells were commonly used. Pandya kings supported temple musicians and devotional singers known as oduvars. B. Dance. Classical dance forms like Bharatanatyam evolved in temple premises under Pandya patronage. Dance was seen as both a devotional offering and artistic expression. Dancers known as Devadasas performed during rituals and festivals in temples like Meenakshi Amman. 4. Architecture as cultural canvas. Pandya temples were multifunctional cultural centers. Hosted recitals, debates, dramas, and educational lectures. Encouraged the blending of aesthetic beauty with spiritual significance. Integrated art into everyday life through religious festivals, sculpture, and music. 5. Pandya court as a cultural hub. Pandya kings invited artists, scholars, and philosophers from across India and Sri Lanka. Cultural exchange occurred between Tamilakam and Southeast Asia, influencing art styles. The court promoted a pluralistic ethos, welcoming both religious and secular artists. Legacy of Pandya cultural patronage. Their patronage preserved and advanced the Tamil language and classical arts. Temples like Meenakshi Amman and Nellaiappar remain living museums of cultural heritage. They laid the foundation for later cultural movements under Vijayanagara and Nayaka dynasties. Section 8. Economy and trade networks of the Pandya Empire. The Pandya Empire developed one of the most dynamic economies in ancient and medieval South India, centered in fertile riverine regions and well-connected coastal cities. The Pandyas established prosperous agricultural systems, robust maritime trade networks, and vibrant market towns. Their economic success was integral to the grandeur of their political and cultural dominance. 1. Agricultural wealth and irrigation. Agriculture formed the foundation of the Pandya economy, thanks to the fertile lands of the Vaigai, Tamiraparani, and Kotakarai rivers. Crops cultivated. Staples like paddy, rice, millets, and sugarcane. Commercial crops such as cotton, pepper, and spices. Fruits like bananas, jackfruit, and coconuts. Irrigation systems. Large-scale tank, erie systems, and canals were built. Notable tanks include the Periyar Eri and Anai Katu dams. Maintenance of irrigation works was carried out by temple institutions and village assemblies. 2. Ports and maritime trade. The Pandyas excelled in overseas maritime trade, especially from port cities like Korkai, early capital and pearl fishery hub, Kailpatnam, Tuticorin, Thuthukudi, Madurai, as an inland trade node, exports. Pearls from the Gulf of Mannar, the most prized commodity. Spices, textiles, cotton and silk. elephants, precious stones and ivory, bronze idols, ceramics, and temple products. B. Imports. Horses from Arabia and Central Asia for military use. Glassware, perfumes, wine, and luxury items. Silk and porcelain from China. C. Trade partners. Roman Empire. As early as the 1st century CE, Pandya ports traded with Rome, China. Trade via sea routes and intermediaries brought Chinese goods. Arabia and Persian Gulf, key partners in the medieval period. Sri Lanka, Southeast Asia, Java, Sumatra, Cambodia were frequent trading neighbors. 3. Urbanization and market economy. The Pandyas encouraged urban development through thriving nagaram, urban guilds, and market centers. Madurai. The capital city was a major mercantile hub, had separate quarters for goldsmiths, weavers, potters, and foreign merchants. Towns and trade guilds. Towns like Perur, Tirunelveli, and Srivilliputhur flourished with market networks. Managramam, Ayavala 500, and Nanadesi were major merchant guilds. Guilds acted as banks, trade managers, and patrons of temples. 4. Coinage and monetary system. Pandya rulers issued coins made of silver and copper, punch-marked coins in early periods. Later coins depicted symbols like the fish emblem, royal insignias, and deities. Coins facilitated trade both internally and internationally, and were often minted with bilingual inscriptions, Tamil and Grantha or Nagari. 5. Taxation and state revenue. Land revenue from agriculture was the primary source of income. Custom duties, port taxes, and trade levies on merchants and guilds. Tributes from vassal states and war booty, especially from Sri Lanka and Hoysala campaigns. Temple wealth also contributed via land donations, jewelry, and ritual endowments. 6. Craft production and industrial economy. The Pandyas encouraged cottage industries. Textile weaving, cotton and silk in Madurai, Kanchipuram, and Korkai. Metalwork, stone carving, and jewelry making. Artisans were organized into jati-based guilds, with hereditary skills passed down generations. 7. International prestige through trade. The economic clout of the Pandyas gave them political leverage and diplomatic ties with Sri Lanka, China, and Southeast Asia. Cultural prestige, Indian goods and religious ideas were exported along with trade. A cosmopolitan court that received foreign envoys and traders. Legacy of Pandya economic power. Their economic vision helped integrate Tamilakam into the global economy. Infrastructure like roads, ports, tanks, and markets ensured long-term growth. Trade links laid the foundation for future prosperity under Vijayanagara and Nayak rule. Section 9. Military strength, warfare, and administration of the Pandya Empire. The Pandya Empire, while celebrated for its culture and commerce, also built a strong military and administrative foundation that enabled it to expand and defend its territory across centuries. From elite elephant corps to naval fleets, from village assemblies to royal courts, the Pandyas engineered a complex governance and defense system suited to the dynamic political landscape of South India. 1. Structure of the Pandya military. The Pandya army was a well-organized, multi-tiered force comprising various divisions. A. Core components of the army. Infantry, Kalargal, largest section, made up of foot soldiers wielding spears, swords, bows, and shields. Cavalry, Kudurai Kalargo, supplied largely through horse imports from Arabia and Central Asia. Elephant Corps, Yanai Ani, highly prestigious and effective in breaking enemy formations. Chariots and commanders. Although chariots were less common in later eras, they were still used ceremonially and tactically in early periods. Royal Guard, Padam Kadalar, elite units that protected the king and royal family. B. Navy Kadar Kapalani. The Pandyas maintained a naval force to secure trade routes and coastal towns. Their fleet operated in the Bay of Bengal and helped repel invasions and protect maritime commerce. 2. Warfare strategy and notable battles. A. Strategy and training. Regular military drills in forts and open fields. Temples supported warriors through land grants and ritual blessings. Use of fortified cities, kotai, and natural river boundaries in defense. B. Significant military campaigns. Against the Cholas. Fierce battles over control of the Kaveri Delta and Madurai. Sri Lankan expeditions. Pandya rulers like Maravarman Sundara Pandyan conducted successful campaigns in Anuradhapura and Polonnaruwa, brought back spoils, captives, and religious artifacts. Victory over Hoysalas. Pandya generals repelled Hoysala expansion from Karnataka. Tughlaq invasion resistance. Though eventually defeated in the 14th century, Pandyas mounted a valiant resistance against Malik Kafur and Ulugh Khan. Guerrilla tactics were used during the retreat into the Western Ghats. 3. Forts and military infrastructure. Forts, kotais, were built around cities like Madurai, Tirunelveli, and Sankarankoil. Fortifications included moats, watchtowers, bastions, and gates, Vailgal. Granaries and arsenals were often stored inside temples and protected areas. 4. Administrative system of the Pandyas. The Pandyas employed a decentralized but hierarchical administration to govern efficiently a central government. King, Ko or Arasan, was the supreme authority in military, administrative, and religious matters, assisted by a council of ministers, Amaichargal, commanders, and priests. B. Provincial governance. Kingdom divided into Mandalam provinces and Nadu districts, each province governed by chieftains, Velir or Naduvazis, or royal appointees. Royal inspectors, Tandupathiars, ensured local rulers remained loyal. C. Local administration village assemblies, and Sabha, managed land, water, festivals, and local disputes, collected taxes and maintained temples. Temple committees, Devasthanams, often doubled as administrative and financial centers. 5. Revenue and taxation. Land revenue, Irai or Kudamai, was the primary source of state income. Other taxes included custom duties at ports, sales tax, market fees, and guild contributions, war tributes, and spoils from conquest. 6. Legal system and law enforcement, Dharma-based judicial system. Village elders or temple authorities acted as judges. Royal courts handled complex cases involving nobles or land disputes. Punishments ranged from fines to banishment, often influenced by caste and social rank. Military police ensured order in market towns and forts. 7. Military symbols and identity. Emblem of the double fish, twin fish Yerithalapadai, symbolized power, vigilance, and maritime strength, displayed on flags, coins, and military standards. War drum, parai, and conch were used to signal troop movements. Legacy of Pandya warfare and governance. The Pandyas built a state that was resilient, militarily innovative, and administratively stable. Their model of governance influenced successor dynasties like the Vijayanagara Empire. Their decentralized structure preserved village autonomy while maintaining imperial cohesion. Section 10. Religion, temples, and the sacred geography of the Pandya Empire. The Pandya Empire is celebrated not only for its military strength and economic prosperity, but also for its deep religious devotion, temple architecture, and the promotion of sacred art and philosophy. Their rule saw the flourishing of Shaivism, Vaishnavism, Jainism, and Buddhism, along with the construction of some of South India's most magnificent temples and religious centers. 1. Dominant religions under the Pandyas. A. Shaivism, devotion to Lord Shiva. The Pandyas were primarily Shaivites, and many rulers styled themselves as Parama Maheshvaras, supreme devotees of Shiva. Temples dedicated to Shiva were generously endowed and expanded. B. Declined after the 9th century due to the rise of Bhakti movements. 2. Sacred cities and temple centers. A.D. Madurai, spiritual and political capital. Home to the Meenakshi Temple, one of the holiest sites of Shaivism. Pilgrimage destination for Shaivite saints, Nayan Mars, and Vaishnavite Alvars. B. Rameswaram, sacred to both Shaivites and Vaishnavites. Ramanatha Swami Temple, an architectural marvel built in Pandya and later Nayaka styles. C. Tiruparankunram, famous for its Murugan temple carved into rock, associated with Skanda, Muruga worship. D. Srivilliputhur, revered as the birthplace of Andal, a famous female Alvar saint. The Srivilliputhur temple is featured on the Tamil Nadu state emblem. 3. Temple architecture and art. Pandya temples are known for Dravidian architectural features, Vimana, temple towers, mandapas, halls, gopurams, gateway towers, and prakaras, circumambulatory paths, rock-cut shrines and cave temples, e.g. at Tirunelveli and Kalugumalai. Bronze sculpture tradition, exquisite bronze icons of Nataraja, Meenakshi, and Murugan. Wall paintings and stone carvings showing religious themes and royal processions. 4. Patronage to saints and poets. The Pandyas supported the Bhakti movement and its poet saints. Nayanmars, Shaivite saints, like Appar, Sambandar, and Sundarar, Alvars, Vaishnavite mystics, like Andal and Perialvar. Religious hymns such as Tevarams and Divya Prabandhams were recited in temples. 5. Rituals, festivals, and pilgrimage. Major festivals included Meenakshi Thirukalyanam, Divine Marriage of Meenakshi and Sundareshwarar. Float festivals, Tepotsavam in temple tanks, Vaikunta Ekadashi, Shivaratri, and Navaratri. Pilgrimage circuits developed connecting Madurai, Rameswaram, Tiruchendur, and Tirunelveli. 6. Religious endowments and temple economy. Temples owned lands, Devadana, granted by kings and nobles. Villages, orchards, and water tanks. Temple trustees, Dharmakarthas, managed donations, rituals, and employees. Temples acted as banks, schools, and public kitchens. 7. Role of women in religion. Women participated actively as poet saints, e.g. Andal, donors of gold, land, and jewelry to temples. Temple dancers, Devadasas, who preserved sacred music and dance. 8. Cross-cultural religious influence. The Pandya Empire was a hub for cross-sea pilgrims from Sri Lanka and Southeast Asia, foreign travelers like Marco Polo, who admired temple customs and pageantry. Pandya religious art influenced Khmer, Javanese, and Sinhala temple designs, legacy of religious life in the Pandya Empire. Pandya temples remain living monuments, attracting millions of pilgrims annually. Their contributions to South Indian temple culture, bhakti poetry, and ritual practices remain vibrant to this day. The sacred geography shaped under Pandya rule continues to define Tamil Nadu's spiritual identity. Section 11. Literature, language, and cultural contributions of the Pandya Empire. The Pandya Empire, apart from its political power and religious patronage, was one of the greatest cultural beacons in South Indian history. Their legacy in Tamil literature, poetry, education, and fine arts not only defined classical Tamil identity, but also left an enduring impact across southern Asia. 1. The Tamil language under the Pandyas. The Pandyas were staunch patrons of Tamil, and under their rule, the language flourished both as a spoken and literary medium. Court documents, inscriptions, and literature were composed in high classical Tamil. Bilingual inscriptions in Tamil and Sanskrit were also common, reflecting the syncretic nature of their administration and culture. 2. Patronage of the Sangam assemblies. The Pandyas were the foremost patrons of the ancient Sangams, scholarly assemblies of poets, philosophers, and grammarians. 3 Sangams, Tamil literary academies, are traditionally said to have existed in Madurai. The first and second Sangams are considered mythical or prehistoric. The third Sangam, held during the early historic Pandya rule, produced immortal Tamil works. 3. Sangam literature and its themes. The corpus of Sangam literature, largely created under the patronage of Pandya rulers and their chieftains, covers A. Heroic poetry, Puram, describes wars, valor, kingship, and generosity. Works like Purana Nuru and Pathitrupathu contain references to Pandya victories and diplomacy. B. Love poetry, Akam, reflects love, longing, separation, and emotional nuance. Rich in metaphors tied to Tamil landscapes, hills, seas, farmlands, and deserts. C. Ethical treatises. Texts like Tirukural by Thiruvalluvar and Naladiyar emphasize morality, statecraft, and virtue. Highly revered by Pandya kings and scholars alike. 4. Pandya kings as poets and patrons. Some Pandya rulers were scholars and poets themselves. Nedunjelian I and Maravarman Sundara Pandyan are credited with commissioning many classical works. The royal court housed renowned poets like Kapilar, Avayar, Nakirar, and Paranar. 5. Temples as centers of culture and learning. Temples under the Pandyas were not just religious spaces, but also academies of learning. They hosted music performances, dance, Bharatanatyam, and scriptural recitations. Libraries, Granthagrahas, attached to temples, preserved palm leaf manuscripts in Tamil and Sanskrit. 6. Contributions to education and philosophy. Gurukulas and Agraharams, Brahmin quarters, were funded to teach Vedas, Tamil grammar, astronomy, and mathematics. Pandya scholars contributed to Siddha medicine, Tamil grammar, Ilakanam, and ethics, Nithi Nulgal. 7. Music, dance, and performing arts. Temple arts received royal support, particularly Devadasi dance, Bharatanatyam, and Carnatic-style music. Instruments like mridangam, veena, and yaj, Tamil harp, were commonly used. Annual temple festivals included drama performances based on Ramayana, Mahabharata, and Tamil legends. 8. Architecture and visual arts as cultural expression. Pandya sculpture is known for refined aesthetics, intricate reliefs, and iconography, narrative carvings depicting epics, battles, and everyday life. Bronze casting under the Pandyas laid the foundation for Chola bronze sculpture. 9. Cross-cultural literary influence. The Pandya literary sphere extended to Sri Lanka, where Tamil works were adopted by the Jaffna Kingdom. Southeast Asia, where Tamil inscriptions have been found in Thailand, Malaysia, and Indonesia. Legacy of Pandya cultural contributions. The Pandya Empire safeguarded the Tamil identity, language, and aesthetics during eras of great change. Their cultural initiatives bridged classical and medieval traditions, laying a foundation that future dynasties like the Cholas, Nayakas, and Vijayanagara would build upon. Today, Sangam literature, temple dance, and Tamil philosophical texts remain powerful legacies of Pandya vision. Section 12. Trade, maritime networks, and economy of the Pandya Empire. The Pandya Empire stood out in South Asian history, not only for its political and cultural achievements, but also for its vibrant trade economy, strategic maritime connections, and efficient administrative policies that fostered sustained economic growth. Their port cities became gateways for global commerce, making the Pandyas a central node in the ancient Indian Ocean trade network. 1. Agricultural foundations of the economy. The Pandya heartland, especially around Madurai, Tirunelveli, and Korkai, was rich in black cotton soil, ideal for agriculture. Major crops included rice, staple and export item, pulses, sugarcane, and plantains, cotton used in the famed Pandya textiles, irrigation systems, large tanks, ERI, and canals fed from rivers like the Vaigai. Royal engineers maintained canals, sluices, and check dams to ensure year-round water supply. 2. Inland trade and urban markets. Cities like Madurai, Sivaganga, and Valiur were bustling commercial hubs. Marketplaces, angadis offered spices, textiles, precious stones, salt, gold, and crafted bronzes. Guilds, nigamas of weavers, metalworkers, and jewelers. Caravan routes connected the interior with ports and foreign merchant colonies. 3. Maritime trade and port cities. The Pandyas controlled vital ports along the southeast coast, Coromandel Coast, Korkai, ancient pearl fishing center and Roman trade hub, Kayalpatinam, and Tuticorin, later Pandya ports connecting to the Red Sea in Southeast Asia. Saliur and Sengotai served as inland customs points. 4. Exports and imports. Key exports. Pearls, from the Gulf of Mannar, prized in Rome, Persia, and China. Spices, cardamom, pepper, and turmeric. Textiles, fine cotton and muslin known as Pandya Veshti, ivory, sandalwood, and bronze sculptures, key imports. Gold, wine, horses, and glassware from Rome and West Asia. Silk, ceramics, and lacquerware from China. Elephants and luxury goods from Sri Lanka and Southeast Asia. 5. International trade relations. Greco-Roman trade, documented in the Periplus of the Erythraean Sea. Roman coins discovered in Pandya territories prove long-standing links. Arab traders brought horses, dates, and perfume. Some settled as coastal communities. Southeast Asian relations. Pandya goods reached Thailand, Vietnam, and Indonesia. Maritime diplomacy established ties with Srivijaya and pagan kingdoms. 6. Currency and coinage. Pandya kings issued gold, silver, and copper coins featuring fish emblem, royal symbol, names or titles of kings in Tamil or Brahmi scripts. Some coins modeled after Roman aurae and denarii. Coins facilitated local trade transactions, payment of troops and temple donations, validation of royal authority and legitimacy. 7. Revenue system and taxation. Taxes were levied on land, kudimai, trade and tolls, custom duties at ports. Craftsmen, shopkeepers, and market vendors, in-kind taxes, often in the form of grain, textiles, and livestock. Revenue was used to fund temple maintenance, army expenses, public works, and education. 8. Role of merchant guilds. Prominent guilds included Ayavole 500, Manigramam, and Nanadisi. These guilds had internal charters and judicial autonomy, sponsored temples, tanks, and roads, maintained trans-regional trade links, even with Cambodia and Sri Lanka. 9. Market towns and trade festivals. Periodic trade fairs, Santhe, were held near temples and cities. Festivals often doubled as commercial gatherings, boosting regional trade. Royal agents ensured security of routes, fair pricing, and weighing standards. Economic legacy of the Pandya Empire. The Pandya Empire was one of India's most internationally connected early states. Their pearls and textiles made Tamilakam famous in the ancient world. The economy they fostered was complex, multi-layered, and sustainable, influencing later South Indian kingdoms like the Cholas, Nayakas, and even European trade companies. Section 13. Administration, governance, and justice system in the Pandya Empire. The Pandya Empire was known for its well-structured administrative system, which reflected a blend of monarchical power, local autonomy, and religious sanction. Their governance model allowed them to sustain control over a vast territory, maintain social order, and ensure economic prosperity across urban and rural zones. 1. Nature of government, monarch-centric rule. The Pandya state was a centralized monarchy with a hereditary king at the apex. Kings held divine status and bore titles like Maravarman, Jadavarman, Sundara Pandyan, often linked to valor, religious authority, or lineage. Despite royal supremacy, ministers, assemblies, and officials played crucial roles in daily governance. 2. Royal court and bureaucracy. The royal court, Kutam, in Madurai, or Tirunelveli, was the administrative center. Chief officers of the realm, Perunthalavar, Prime Minister, Dandanayaka, Commander-in-Chief, Rajaguru, Royal Advisor, Spiritual Head, Purohita, Court Priest, subordinate officers, Sthanapati, governors of provinces. Karanatan, record keepers and tax administrators. Kavalmaram, security and law enforcement agents. 3. Division of territory. The empire was divided into multiple administrative units for better control. Unit name description: Mandalam large province, e.g. Pandya Mandalam. Kottayam districts, Nadu County, or sub-district village, or town, Cherry Hamlet, or suburb. Each unit had local functionaries, sometimes hereditary, working under royal oversight. 4. Local governance and village autonomy. Villages enjoyed considerable self-governance, with Ursabhas or Gramasabhas managing local issues. Functions included land distribution and tax collection, temple maintenance, resolving village disputes. Velalas, land-owning agriculturists, often dominated these assemblies. 5. Revenue collection and taxation system. Main sources of income. Land tax, kudimai, a fixed proportion of the produce. Trade taxes, port duties, and artisan levies. Tribute, irai, from feudatories or conquered regions. Taxation was progressive and often collected in kind: grains, cattle, textiles. 6. Military administration. The Pandya army was a key component of governance, ensuring internal security, border defense, suppression of rebellions, military units, infantry, cavalry, elephants, and naval squadrons. Recruitment occurred through both professional warrior clans, mercenary forces, including those from Lanka and Southeast Asia. 7. Diplomatic corps and feudatory management. The Pandyas often governed through vassals and feudatory chieftains, e.g., in Kongu Nadu, Kerala, or Sri Lanka. Ambassadors and emissaries negotiated trade alliances, marriage treaties. Peace pacts with foreign powers like the Sinhala or Srivijaya kings. 8. Legal system and justice administration. Justice was based on Dharma Shastra, customary law, and royal edicts. Village assemblies, temple councils, and royal judges tried different cases. Typical legal matters: land disputes, theft, adultery and social transgressions, caste-based crimes and untouchability violations. Punishments varied by crime and caste, included fines, excommunication, public shaming, or corporal punishment. 9. Temple-based administrative roles. Major temples had trustees, dharmakartas, overseeing endowments, accountants, scribes, and security staff. Temple wealth was partly integrated into state revenue systems, especially for public works. 10. Women in administration. While uncommon, royal women occasionally administered lands, donated temples, managed estates, or served as regents during interregnums. Administrative legacy of the Pandyas. The Pandya system of governance balanced centralized authority with decentralized administration, allowed cultural flourishing, economic regulation, and civil stability. Their administrative innovations were adopted by later Cholas, Vijayanagara rulers, and early colonial revenue collectors. Section 14. Religion, temples, and ritual practices in the Pandya Empire. The Pandya Empire was not just a political and military force, but also a deeply spiritual and religious civilization. It played a vital role in shaping the religious landscape of South India, especially in terms of temple architecture, ritual life, and patronage of devotional movements. The Pandyas nurtured an inclusive yet Brahmanical religious order while also accommodating Jain and Buddhist traditions in earlier phases. 1. Dominant religions in the Pandya realm. Shaivism, worship of Lord Shiva, strongly promoted by kings and elites, associated with temples like Meenakshi Temple, Tiruparankanram, and Chidambaram, shared with Cholas. Saiva Nayanmars like Apar, Sundarar, and Manikavachakar were celebrated. Vaishnavism, worship of Lord Vishnu, supported mainly during later Pandya periods, especially under Jatavarman Sundara Pandyan Mormai. Patronized Alwar saints and temples like Srivillapathur and Aligarh Koval. Jainism had early influence, particularly in Kalugumalai, Aligarmalai, and Sitanavasal. Declined in prominence after 9th century, but some Pandya queens remained patrons. Buddhism briefly flourished during early historic period. Buddhist viharas existed near trade routes in ports like Korkai and Kayal. 2. Royal patronage of temples and priesthood temples served as centers of worship, learning, landholding, and economic activity. Kings gifted villages, gold, cattle, and lands to temples. Royal decrees, in inscriptions, often included temple grants for eternal lamplighting, Nandavilaku, and food offerings, Naivedyam. 3. Major temples built or expanded under the Pandyas' temple deity significance. Meenakshi Sundareswarar Temple, Madurai. Meenakshi Shiva Central Shrine of Pandya capital, Tiruparankunram, Murugan Temple Kartikeya, Murugan. Ancient cave temple with Shaiva Skanda, link Srivilliputhur. Andal Temple Goddess, Andal symbol of Vaishnava revival, Kudal Azagar Temple, Madurai. Vishnu triple-tiered idol of Vishnu Kalugumalai Jain Temple. Jain Tirthankara's rock cut, monastic site. 4. Temple architecture and iconography. Pandyas contributed to Dravidian temple architecture, characterized by Granite vimanas, towers, rock-cut cave temples in early phases. Mandapas, prakaras, and gopurams in matured forms. Sculptures, expressive and narrative, depicting scenes from Puranas, epics, and saintly legends. Bronze idols of Nataraja, Murugan, Vishnu, and Parvati were created in temples like Madurai and Tirunelveli. 5. Religious festivals and ritual life. Annual festivals, utsavams, drew massive crowds. Chitrai festival in Madurai, reenactment of Meenakshi's wedding. Panguni Utharam, Vaikunta Ekadasi, and Thaipusam were widely celebrated. Daily rituals included Abhishekam, Alankaram, Deeparadana, and processions. Temple dancers, Devadasas, performed Bharatanatyam as sacred offerings. 6. Religious literature and bhakti movements. Bhakti saints and their hymns played a major role in shaping devotion. Tevaram hymns in praise of Shiva, Divya Prabandham in honor of Vishnu. Pandya rulers often had inscriptions quoting or dedicating hymns, highlighting deep integration of poetry and piety. 7. Role of women in religious patronage. Pandya queens and noblewomen donated gold, lamps, and land to temples. Some temples had shrines dedicated to goddesses like Meenakshi, Andal, and Durga. Female deities held central roles in the spiritual life of the empire. 8. Temples as socio-economic institutions employed hundreds in roles like priests, musicians, flower gatherers, oil makers, accountants, ran educational institutions, gurukulams, functioned as banks, lending grain or gold with interest, hosted medical services, rest houses, and feeding centers, Anadanam, spiritual legacy of the Pandya Empire. The Pandya religious tradition was marked by devotion, magnificence, and inclusive practice. Their temples remain living shrines of cultural continuity and architectural brilliance. The fusion of bhakti, art, ritual, and literature under their rule helped create the enduring soul of Tamil religiosity. Would you like to continue with Section 15, Literature, Language, and Education in the Pandya Empire? Section 15, Literature, Language, and Education in the Pandya Empire. The Pandya Empire made outstanding contributions to Tamil literature, language development, and educational institutions. Under their rule, Madurai became a literary beacon of the Tamil world, nurturing poets, scholars, and religious thinkers. Their patronage sustained the Sangam tradition, inspired the Bhakti literary movement, and ensured the survival and growth of Tamil as a classical language. 1. Tamil as the language of state and culture. Tamil was the official administrative and literary language of the Pandyas. Inscriptions, royal edicts, land grants, and temple records were primarily written in Tamil, occasionally Sanskrit. The use of Tamil script evolved significantly, becoming more angular and formalized during their rule. 2. Revival of the Sangam tradition. The Pandyas were closely associated with the three Sangams, ancient literary academies. First Sangam, mythical, held in South Madurai. Second Sangam, near Kapatapuram. Third Sangam, held in Madurai with over 450 poets. Pandyas patronized poets and scholars of the Third Sangam, leading to the compilation of Tolkappiyam, earliest work on Tamil grammar and poetics, Etuthagai, 8 anthologies, and Padupattu, 10 idols. 3. Key literary works supported by the Pandyas, title, author, genre description. Silapadikaram Ilango Adigal epic story of Kanagi's chastity and justice, Manimekalai Satanar epic continuation of Silapadikaram. Buddhist themes, Tirukural Tiruvalluvar ethical treatise, 1. 330 couplets on virtue, wealth, and love. Naladiyar, Purananuru, Akananuru, various anthologies. Philosophy Cal, political and romantic poems. These texts illustrate themes of love, akam, war, puram, ethics, religion, and philosophy. 4. Bhakti literature, the Age of Saints. The Pandya period also overlapped with the Bhakti movement, especially in the 7th–9th centuries CE. Saiva Nayanmars and Vaishnava Alwars composed devotional hymns in simple Tamil works like Tevaram by Apar Sambandar and Sundarar, Tiruvachakam by Manikavachakar, Divya Prabandham by Alwar saints, These transformed temple worship into a personal and poetic experience. 5. Jain and Buddhist literary contributions. Early Pandya courts also supported Jain poets such as Ilango Adigal, Silapadikaram, Buddhist writers like Satyanar, Manimekalai. These works were often didactic and centered around dharma, renunciation, and metaphysical ideas. 6. Educational institutions and Gurukulam's temples doubled as educational hubs. Students learned Vedas, Tamil grammar, logic, music, and astronomy. Scriptures, law, medicine, and martial arts were taught in different schools. Brahmin agraharas, scholarly settlements, often functioned as centers of advanced learning. 7. Role of the royal court in literary development. Kings like Maravarman Rajasimha I, Jatavarman Sundara Pandyan, and Kulasakara Pandyan were patrons of poets, translators, grammarians. Pandya coins, inscriptions, and temple carvings often quote poetic verses praising the king and deities. 8. Women in literature and education. Some women from elite or learned families were educated in poetry, music, and religious texts. Though rare, a few female poets are known from later inscriptions and oral traditions. 9. Multilingual and cross-cultural exchanges. While Tamil dominated, Sanskrit was used in temple rituals, inscriptions, philosophical discourses. Through trade, the Pandya courts also interacted with Arab, Sri Lankan, Southeast Asian scholars and merchants, introducing new linguistic and educational elements. Legacy of Pandya literary patronage. The Pandya era established Tamil as a high literary and devotional language. Their patronage laid the foundation for the Chola literary renaissance, the Vijayanagara classical revival. Even today, Madurai is hailed as the seat of Tamil learning, thanks to its Pandya legacy. Section 16. Trade, economy, and maritime networks of the Pandya Empire. The Pandya Empire commanded one of the most dynamic and prosperous economies of ancient and medieval South India. Fueled by inland agricultural productivity and strategic maritime trade, the Pandyas built a flourishing commercial system that connected Tamilakam with the wider Indian Ocean world. Their economic strength was visible in their urban wealth, elaborate temple economies, and active ports that attracted traders from Rome, China, Arabia, and Southeast Asia. E1. Agrarian foundation of the economy. The primary source of wealth was agriculture. Rice, sugarcane, turmeric, black gram, and millets were staple crops. Deltaic regions near Vaigai and Tamirabarani rivers had intensive paddy cultivation, sophisticated irrigation systems, canals, tanks, eyrie, and wells. Royal inscriptions mention construction of new reservoirs and desilting of old ones. Land revenue, Irai. Main form of taxation, collected in grain or cash, categorized based on land fertility, wet, dry, forest, waste. 2. Craft production and guilds. Artisans formed guilds called srenis or nikamas involved in weaving, blacksmithing, bronze casting, carpentry, sculpture, and goldsmithing. Madurai and surrounding towns were known for fine textiles, jewelry, and stone carving. Guilds had autonomy, managed quality, and paid taxes to the crown. 3. Internal trade and market networks. Urban bazaars, angadis, and weekly rural markets facilitated internal exchange. Items traded. Food grains, salt, betel leaves, spices, textiles, cattle, and perfumes. Trade routes. Connected Madurai to ports like Korkai, Kayal, and inland cities like Urayur and Karur. Use of cowries, gold coins, and barter in local economies. 4. Coinage and currency system. Pandyas issued a variety of coins. Gold, silver, and copper coins inscribed with symbols like the fish emblem, elephants, or temple towers. Often bore Sanskrit and Tamil inscriptions. Coins served as medium for trade. Instruments of royal propaganda, evidence of economic sophistication and metal availability. 5. Maritime trade, ports and sea routes. The Pandya kingdom controlled important international ports. Korkai, famous for pearl fisheries, mentioned by Ptolemy. Callao, described by Marco Polo as a thriving port with a customs system. Tuticorin, Colachel, and Kumari handled spice and textile exports. Major exports: pearls, pepper, textiles, cotton, silk, ivory, sandalwood, and gems. Major imports: horses from Arabia, luxury goods, fine ceramics, silk, wine, and coins. Trade partners: Roman Empire, gold coins found in hoards. China, Srivijaya, Khmer Empire, Arabia, Maldives. 6. Foreign accounts on Pandya trade. Ptolemy, 2nd century CE, described Pandya ports and goods. Marco Polo, 13th century CE, praised the honesty of Pandya merchants and the richness of Madurai. Arab and Chinese records also mention Tamil merchants operating in overseas colonies. 7. Temple economy and commerce. Temples acted as banking institutions, accepting deposits and lending with interest. Landowners and employers, controlling agricultural lands and craft workshops. Trade hubs, hosting merchant guilds and bazaars during festivals. Donations from traders and royals enriched temple treasuries. 8. Role of merchant guilds in overseas trade. Tamil merchant guilds like Ainuravar, Manigramam, and Anjuvanam were active in Sri Lanka, Southeast Asia, and even China. These guilds established trading colonies, temples, and acted as semi-autonomous bodies with military protection. 9. Taxation and economic administration. Taxes were imposed on land, trade, professions, commodities, markets, water usage, collected by revenue officers, RAR, Amanar, and local councils. Sabas, UR, local autonomy and revenue management, made the system efficient and decentralized. 10. Economic challenges and adjustments. Occasional famines, droughts, or floods impacted agriculture. During times of war, trade was redirected to safer ports. Invasions and internal rebellions sometimes caused disruption, but the Pandya economy remained resilient. Legacy of the Pandya economic system. The Pandya Empire left behind a blueprint for sustainable agrarian management, integrated temple-town economies, thriving global maritime trade. Their coins, port ruins, and foreign references stand testament to a golden era of commercial prosperity. Section 17. Military organization and warfare in the Pandya Empire. The Pandya Empire maintained a formidable military system that allowed it to expand across South India and hold its territory against rival dynasties such as the Cholas, Pallavas, and Hoysalas. Known for their elephant corps, strategic cavalry units, and warrior ethos, the Pandyas combined traditional Tamil martial practices with tactical innovations influenced by their northern and foreign interactions. Their armies were not only essential in warfare but also instrumental in state building and diplomacy. 1. Structure of the Pandya military. The Pandya army was a multi-tiered force composed of infantry, kalam, the backbone of the army, armed with spears, swords, shields, bows, and javelins, often drawn from local peasantry and tribal communities. Cavalry, Kutharai Padai, imported war horses from Arabia via maritime trade. Highly mobile and used for flanking maneuvers, raids, and battlefield mobility. Elephant Corps, Yanai Padai, elite unit used to break enemy lines and instill fear. Often used to carry the royal standard and lead charges, heavily armored and decorated for symbolic impact. Chariotry, their padai, rare in later periods but used symbolically and during ritual processions. More common in early Sangam period Pandyas. 2. Recruitment and warrior class. Recruitment was often regional and based on hereditary military service. Kshatriya clans, local chieftains, valiers, and martial castes held high-ranking posts. Some tribal groups, like Maravars and Kalars, served as elite infantry and bodyguards. 3. Royal Guard and personal protection. The Raja's personal bodyguards were elite troops, known for loyalty unto death, often depicted in inscriptions as sacrificing themselves on the king's funeral pyre, Viradam. 4. Military training and martial arts training included Swordsmanship, valor, archery, wrestling, and elephant control. Use of silambam, an ancient Tamil martial art involving bamboo staff combat. Royal princes were required to train in warfare and command troops in minor campaigns before ascending the throne. 5. Fortifications and military architecture. Fortified cities and garrisons. Madurai, Alagarcoil, and Sattanavasal had defensive walls, moats, and watchtowers. Hill forts in the western Ghats controlled inland passes and trade routes. 6. Naval force and coastal defense. Though not a vast naval power like the Cholas, the Pandyas maintained a modest naval fleet to patrol pearl fisheries, protected ports like Korkai and Kayal from pirates and foreign incursions, likely employed merchant ships for military transport during coastal expeditions. 7. Military campaigns and conquests against the Cholas. Fierce battles for dominance in Tamilakam. Notable victory under Jadavarman Sundara Pandyan Waris, who defeated Rajendra Chola III. Against the Hoysalas. Defeated Hoysala armies in the 13th century and captured territories in present-day Karnataka. Southern conquests brought Sri Lanka under Pandya influence multiple times. Intervened in internal Lankan affairs and imposed tribute. 8. Use of war elephants. Pandya elephants were trained for battlefield combat, processions, and siege operations, equipped with armor, tusk blades, and small platforms for archers. Foreign chroniclers like Marco Polo marveled at the discipline of Pandya elephants. 9. Arms and armor weapons included curved swords, val, longbows, spears, vel, axes, and daggers. Soldiers wore leather or metal armor, chainmail, and shields. Helmets made of bronze or hardened leather. Royal regalia included ceremonial swords and weapons inscribed with the fish emblem. 10. Military symbols and emblems. The twin fish, mean Kodi symbol represented Pandya power. War drums, horns, and banners signaled troop movements. The war dance, Viranatam, celebrated victory and honored fallen warriors. Legacy of Pandya military strength. The Pandyas successfully resisted or defeated multiple major powers, including the Cholas, the Rashtrakutas, the Hoysalas, foreign invaders from the Deccan. Their military system emphasized courage, loyalty, and regional defense, close integration between kingship and warrior ideals. While the Pandya dynasty eventually declined under external pressures, their martial legacy lived on in Tamil warrior traditions and temple iconography. Section 18. Foreign Relations, Diplomacy, and Cultural Exchange of the Pandya Empire. The Pandya Empire, through its strategic geographic location and economic prowess, became a powerful player in the sphere of international relations and diplomatic exchanges. Their connections extended far beyond the Indian subcontinent, into China, the Roman world, Southeast Asia, and the Islamic caliphates, demonstrating their stature not just as a regional kingdom, but as an influential force in the pre-modern global order. 1. Diplomatic philosophy and objectives. The Pandyas pursued a foreign policy based on securing maritime trade routes, countering regional rivals like the Cholas and Hoysalas, maintaining alliances with distant kingdoms through embassies and tribute. They emphasized soft diplomacy through religious missions, gift exchanges, and cultural transmission. 2. Relations with the Roman world. Roman coins, especially those of emperors like Augustus and Tiberius, have been found in Pandya territory, indicating robust trade and indirect diplomatic interaction. Pandyas exported pearls, black pepper, ivory, and textiles. Romans sent wine, gold, coral, and glassware. Ports like Korkai and Kayal were hubs for Roman maritime activity. 3. Ties with China and East Asia. The Chinese Tang dynasty received Pandya embassies as recorded in Chinese chronicles. Chinese items such as silk, ceramics, and coins have been excavated in southern Tamil Nadu. Pandya kings encouraged cultural diplomacy via Buddhist and Hindu missions. Interactions with traders from Quanzhou and Guangzhou. 4. Relations with the Arab and Persian world. Arab geographers, e.g., Al-Idrisi, praised Pandya ports for their prosperity and openness to foreign traders. Arab merchants brought horses, perfumes, textiles, and manuscripts, settled in port cities and formed Islamic merchant communities. There were diplomatic ties with Islamic caliphates, including possible embassies during the Abbasid period. 5. Ties with Sri Lanka. A mix of warfare, diplomacy, and religious ties marked Pandya-Lankan relations. Pandya rulers intervened in succession disputes, supported Tamil settlers and Hindu temples. Buddhism also acted as a cultural bridge between the two regions. 6. Southeast Asian engagement. Pandya trade networks reached Srivijaya, the Khmer Empire, and Java. Tamil merchant guilds like the Ainaruvar maintained embassies, trade colonies, and temples in cities such as Kedah, Sumatra, and Angkor. Cultural exchange. Pandya architectural and religious influence is seen in Southeast Asian temple complexes. 7. Cultural diplomacy through religion. Pandya rulers supported the dissemination of Shaivism and Vaishnavism. Religious envoys traveled abroad with merchants, established Hindu temples in Southeast Asia, helping spread Tamil culture. Temples like those in Tirunelveli and Rameswaram became pilgrimage centers for South Asian and foreign devotees. 8. Marriage alliances and political ties. The Pandyas often cemented alliances through dynastic marriages with minor Tamil chieftains, occasionally with Sinhala and Southeast Asian rulers. These marriages helped reinforce political ties, facilitate cultural integration. 9. Intellectual exchange and language influence. Tamil language and script spread across Southeast Asia and were used in inscriptions in Indonesia, Cambodia, and Thailand. Pandya courts welcomed scholars and poets from abroad. This cosmopolitanism enriched Tamil literary and philosophical discourse. 10. Pandya embassies and global reputation. Historical texts and foreign accounts mention Pandya emissaries arriving at foreign courts, bearing gifts such as ivory carvings, textiles, sacred relics. Their dignified representation enhanced the empire's reputation as a cultured and wealthy polity. Legacy of Pandya foreign relations. The Pandya Empire's global outlook and active diplomacy made it a linchpin in pre-modern maritime diplomacy, a crucial player in the Indian Ocean trade world. Their legacy lives on through Tamil cultural traces abroad, the global spread of South Indian religious traditions and artistic motifs. Section 19. Literature, art, and intellectual life under the Pandya Empire. The Pandya Empire was not only a political and military power, but also a vibrant center of literary expression, artistic excellence, and intellectual inquiry. The Pandyas were great patrons of Tamil literature, Sanskrit scholarship, and temple arts, creating an enduring cultural legacy that influenced South Indian civilization for centuries. 1. Tamil literature and patronage. The Pandyas actively supported Tamil poets, scholars, and scriptural commentators. Sangam literature. Though predating the medieval Pandyas, many poems were preserved, copied, and circulated in their reign. Kings like Nedunchelian and Maravarman were praised in Sangam poems. Post-Sangam literature flourished with devotional works from the Bhakti movement, including the Tevaram and Tiruvakakam. Poet saints like Apar, Sundarar, and Manikavasagar received patronage. 2. Court poets and scholars. The Pandya court was home to numerous Tamil scholars who composed works on ethics, e.g. Tirukural commentaries, philosophy, grammar, astrology, and Shaivite theology. Notable court poets included Kalidar, Kapilar, and Paranar, whose works celebrated Pandya conquests and governance. 3. Sanskrit influence and scholarship. Although Tamil was the court language, Sanskrit had a strong presence, especially in religious scriptures, philosophical treatises, and temple inscriptions. Scholars engaged in Advaita Vedanta, Shaiva Siddhanta, and Nyaya Vaisheshika philosophy. Sanskrit dramas and plays were also performed in temple and royal settings. 4. Temple art and architecture. Pandya temples were centers of art, learning, and ritual. Their architecture featured intricate gopurams, gateway towers, beautiful mandapas, pillared halls, gracefully carved vimanas, sanctum towers. Key temples include Meenakshi Temple, Madurai, Srivilaputharandal Temple, Tirumalai Nayakar Mahal, though later, it preserved Pandya artistic elements. 5. Sculpture and iconography. Pandya-era sculptures were expressive and finely detailed. Deities like Shiva, Vishnu, Parvati, and Murugan were often shown in dance or heroic poses. Stone, bronze, and stucco were used. Bhakti-era icons reflected emotional devotion and divine energy. 6. Music and performing arts. Music was both sacred and secular. Temples hosted performances of Carnatic music precursors. Dancers, Devadasis, performed Bharatanatyam, often accompanied by mridangam and veena. The Pandyas institutionalized dance halls, natyasalas, and music schools within temple complexes. 7. Education and Matha system. Temples served as educational centers, especially for grammar, ilakanam, logic, tarka, astronomy, jyotisha, and medicine, Ayurveda and Siddha. Mathas, monastic schools, affiliated with Shaivism and Vaishnavism, taught theology and metaphysics. 8. Inscriptions and epigraphy. Inscriptions on stone and copper plates were used to record land grants, tax exemptions, temple endowments, genealogies of kings. These inscriptions were in Tamil, Vatalutu, and Grantha scripts, occasionally in Sanskrit. They provide detailed records of social structure, economic conditions, and patronage of the arts. 9. Intellectual debates and conferences. Pandya courts hosted philosophical debates among Shaivites, Vaishnavites, Buddhists, and Jain scholars. These debates enriched religious diversity and allowed for pluralistic traditions to thrive. 10. Cultural legacy. The Pandya era marked a golden age of Tamil literary refinement, architectural innovation, and artistic expression. Their influence spread across Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Sri Lanka, and Southeast Asia through temples, texts, and Tamil communities. Section 20. Decline and Fall of the Pandya Empire. The Pandya Empire, after centuries of prosperity, cultural brilliance, and military might, eventually succumbed to a series of internal fractures, external invasions, and shifting political landscapes. Though the Pandyas left a lasting legacy, the final centuries of their reign were marked by struggle, fragmentation, and the eventual collapse of centralized power. 1. Signs of fragmentation and internal strife. Succession disputes. As early as the 13th century, conflicts between rival claimants to the throne weakened the dynasty. The civil war between Veera Pandya and Sundara Pandya divided royal factions and destabilized administration. Feudal overreach. Vassals and local chieftains grew more autonomous, reducing the central government's control. Temple lands and mercantile guilds sometimes operated with greater authority than the crown. 2. External military threats. Hoysala invasions. The powerful Hoysala kings from Karnataka invaded Pandya territories, especially during times of internal conflict. While some conflicts were repelled, repeated incursions exhausted the empire's resources. Chola-Pandya rivalries reignite. Despite earlier Pandya dominance over the Cholas, Chola resurgence in some areas reignited warfare. The constant back-and-forth sieges weakened both Tamil kingdoms. 3. The Delhi Sultanate invasion, 1310-1323 CE, Malik Kafur's campaign. Under Alauddin Khilji, the Delhi Sultanate sent Malik Kafur to conquer South India. In 1311 CE, Madurai was invaded, temples looted, and the Pandya treasury sacked. Aftermath. Though the Sultanate did not permanently occupy Pandya lands immediately, the shock of the invasion severely crippled the kingdom's stability. The political vacuum and loss of prestige emboldened regional powers. 4. Establishment of the Madurai Sultanate, 1335 CE. Jalauddin Ahsan Khan, a governor of the Delhi Sultanate, declared independence and established the Madurai Sultanate. This marked the formal end of the Pandya Empire as a sovereign power. The last known Pandya kings were reduced to small chieftains in southern Tamil Nadu, with little control or influence. 5. Economic decline. With repeated wars and destruction of port cities, the maritime trade collapsed. Foreign merchants withdrew, and the once flourishing economy declined rapidly. Agricultural revenues also suffered due to lack of administration and safety. 6. Collapse of central administration. The disintegration of bureaucratic networks, temple patronage, and tax systems led to chaos. Urban centers like Madurai and Korkai lost their administrative significance and turned into contested zones. 7. Religious impact and cultural disruption. Pandya-supported Shaiva and Vaishnava temples were desecrated or neglected under new Islamic rule. Many scholars, dancers, and artisans migrated to safer regions like Vijayanagara or Tanjore, taking the culture with them. 8. Resistance and last holdouts. Some Pandya royal descendants resisted as minor chieftains in Tirunelveli, Tenkasi, and Kollam. Vijayanagara Empire later helped defeat the Madurai Sultanate and supported some of these minor Pandyas, but they never regained their former glory. 9. Legacy. Despite decline. Even in decline, the Pandya name held cultural prestige. Temples and texts from later centuries still referred to the Pandyas as ideal rulers. Tamil poets and chroniclers mourn the fall of the southern lotus throne, the poetic name for the Pandya court. 10. Transition to successor states. The fall of the Pandyas gave rise to Madurai Sultanate, short-lived, later replaced by the Vijayanagara Empire, eventually leading to the rise of Nayaka rule in the region. Final note on the fall. The fall of the Pandya Empire was not just a political shift. It marked the end of a classical Tamil golden age. Despite the collapse, the Pandya legacy continued to inspire art, language, religion, and regional identity across South India and beyond. Final overall conclusion: legacy of the Pandya Empire. The Pandya Empire stands as one of the oldest, most enduring, and culturally rich dynasties in Indian history. From its ancient origins in Sangam literature to its zenith in the medieval period as a powerful Tamil empire, the Pandyas shaped the spiritual, artistic, maritime, and political landscape of South India and extended their influence across oceans to Southeast Asia. They were pioneers of trade and commerce, developing strong international ties with Rome, China, Sri Lanka, and the Malay world. They built a thriving economy supported by agriculture, pearl fishing, temple endowments, and port cities. Their rule was marked by efficient administration, religious tolerance, and sophisticated infrastructure, including grand temples and irrigation systems. In literature, the Pandya courts nurtured Tamil poets, saints, and scholars whose contributions still form the backbone of Tamil classical identity. In art and architecture, the Pandya temples reflect a distinctive style that bridges early Dravidian and Chola designs, influencing generations of South Indian architecture. Even in decline, the dynasty never lost its cultural prestige. The memory of the Pandya kings lived on in folk songs, temple legends, and regional identity, symbolizing the ideal of Tamil kingship and Dharma-based rule. Their rise, glory, and fall illustrate the complex and dynamic history of southern India. A civilization where power was not just about conquest, but about cultural patronage, spiritual depth, and global engagement. The Pandya Empire's legacy continues to inspire pride among Tamil communities worldwide and remains a crucial chapter in India's historical narrative.